woman that the cat could not be cured, and that he should be put to sleep immediately. I suggested that night, before retiring, she create in her imagination some action that would indicate the cat was its former healthy self. I advised her to do it over and over again until it took on the tones of reality. This, she promised to do. However, either from lack of faith in my advice or from lack of faith in her own ability to carry out the imaginary action, she asked her niece to spend the night with her. This request was made so that if the cat were not well by morning, the niece could take it to the veterinarians and she, the owner, would not have to face such a dreaded task herself. That night, she settled herself in an easy chair and began to imagine the cat was romping beside her, scratching at the furniture and doing many things she would not normally have allowed. Each time she found that her mind had wandered from its predetermined task to see a normal, healthy, frisky cat, she brought her attention back to the room and started her imaginary action over again. This she did over and over again until, finally, in a feeling of relief, she dropped off to sleep, still seated in her chair. At about 4 o'clock in the morning, she was awakened by the cry of her cat. He was standing by her chair. After attracting her attention, he led her to the kitchen where he begged for food. She fixed him a little warm milk which he quickly drank, and cried for more. That cat lived comfortably for 5 more years, when, without pain or illness, he died naturally in his sleep. How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? ... A time, times, and a half. In a dream in the vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men, and sealeth their instructions. Job 33, 15, 16. 7. Be ye wise as serpents. Be ye therefore wise as serpents, and harmless as doves. Matthew 10:16. The serpent's ability to form its skin by ossifying a portion of itself, and its skill in shedding each skin as it outgrew it, caused man to regard this reptile as a symbol of the power of endless growth and self-reproduction. Man is told, therefore, to be wise as the serpent, and learn how to shed his skin, his environment, which is his solidified self. Man must learn how to lose him, and let him go. How to put off the old man. How to die to the old and yet know, like the serpent, that he shall not surely die. Man has not learned as yet that all that is outside his physical body is also a part of himself, that his world and all the conditions of his life are but the outpicturing of his state of consciousness. When he knows this truth, he will stop the futile struggle of self-contention and, like the serpent, let the old go and grow a new environment. Man is immortal, therefore he must die endlessly. For life is a creative idea, it can only find itself in changing forms. Tagore. In ancient times, serpents were also associated with the guardianship of treasure or wealth. The injunction to be wise as serpents is the advice to man to awaken the power of his subtilized body, his imagination, that he, like the serpent, may grow and outgrow, die and yet not die, for from such deaths and resurrections alone, shedding the old and putting on the new, shall come fulfillment of his dreams and the finding of his treasures. As the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. Genesis 3:1. Even so, imagination is more subtle than any creature of the heavens which the Lord God had created. Imagination is the creature that was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope. For we are saved by hope, but a hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for it? But if we hope for that we see not, then do we have patience wait for it. Romans 8:20, 24, 25. Although the outer, or natural, man of the senses is interlocked with his environment, the inner, or spiritual, man of imagination is not thus interlocked. If the interlocking were complete, the charge to be wise as serpents would be in vain. Were we completely interlocked with our environment, we could not withdraw our attention from the evidence of the senses and fill ourselves into the situation of our fulfilled desire, in hope that that unseen state would solidify as our new environment. But there is a natural body, and there is a spiritual body. I Corinthians 15:44. The spiritual body of imagination is not interlocked with man's environment. The spiritual body can withdraw from the outer man of sense and environment and imagine itself to be what it wants to be. And if it remains faithful to the vision, imagination will build for man a new environment in which to live. This is what is meant by the statement, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again, and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. John 14:2, 3. The place that is prepared for you need not be a place in space. It can be health, wealth, companionship, anything that you desire in this world. Now, how is the place prepared? You must first construct as life-like a representation as possible of what you would see and hear and do if you were physically present and physically moving about in that place. Then, with your physical body immobilized, you must imagine that you are actually in that place, and are seeing and hearing and doing all that you would see and hear and do if you were there physically. This you must do over and over again until it takes on the tones of reality. When it feels natural, the place has been prepared as the new environment for your outer or physical self. Now you may open your physical eyes and return to your former state. The place is prepared, and where you have been in imagination, there you shall be in the body also. How this imagined state is realized physically is not the concern of you, the natural or outer man. The spiritual body, on its return from the imagined state to its former physical state, created an invisible bridge of incident to link the two states. Although the curious feeling that you were actually there and that the state was real is gone, as soon as you open your eyes upon the old familiar environment, nevertheless, you are haunted with the sense of a double identity, with the knowledge that there is a natural body, and there is a spiritual body. When you, the natural man, have had this experience, you will go automatically across the bridge of events which leads to the physical realization of your invisibly prepared place. This concept, that man is dual and that the inner man of imagination can dwell in future states and return to the present moment with the bridge of events to link the two, clashes violently with the widely accepted view about the human personality and the cause and nature of phenomena. Such a concept demands a revolution in current ideas about the human personality, and about space, time and matter. The concept that man, consciously or unconsciously, determines the conditions of life by imagining himself into these mental states, leads to the conclusion that this supposedly solid world is a construction of mind, a concept which, at first, common sense rejects. However, we should remember that most of the concepts which common sense at first rejected, man was afterward forced to accept. These never-ending reversals of judgment which experience has forced upon man led Professor Whitehead to write, "Heaven knows what seeming nonsense may not tomorrow be demonstrated truth. The creative power in man sleeps and needs to be awakened. Awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead." Ephesians 5:14. Wake from the sleep that tells you the outer world is the cause of the conditions of your life. Rise from the dead past and create a new environment. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? I Corinthians 3:16. The Spirit of God in you is your imagination, but it sleeps and needs to be awakened, in order to lift you off the bar of the senses where you have so long lain stranded. The boundless possibilities open to you as you become wise as serpents is beyond measure. You will select the ideal conditions you want to experience and the ideal environment you want to live in. Experiencing these states in imagination until they have sensory vividness, you will externalize them as surely as the serpent now externalizes its skin. After you have outgrown them, then, you will cast them off as easily as the snake throws your enameled skin. The more abundant life, the whole purpose of creation, cannot be saved through death and resurrection. God desired form, so he became man, and it is not enough for us to recognize his spirit at work in creation. We must see his work in form and say that it is good, even though we outgrow the form, forever and ever. He leads through widening chambers of delight where throbs rapture near unend that recedes, because his touch is infinite and lends a jond to all ends. And I, if I be lifted up from the earth, will draw all men unto me. John 12:32. If I be lifted up from the evidence of the senses to the state of consciousness I desire to realize and remain in that state until it feels natural, I will form that state around me and all men will see it. But how to persuade man this is true, that imaginative life is the only living, that assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the way to the more abundant life and not the compensation of the escapist, that is the problem. To see as, though widening chambers of delight, what living in the realms of imagination means. To appreciate and enjoy the world, one must live imaginatively, one must dream and occupy his dream, then grow and outgrow the dream, forever and ever. The unimaginative man, who will not lose his life on one level that he may find it on a higher level, is nothing but a Lot's wife, a pillar of self-satisfied salt. On the other hand, those who refuse form as being unspiritual and who reject incarnation as separate from God are ignorant of the great mystery. Great is the mystery, God was manifest in the flesh. Your life expresses one thing, and one thing only, your state of consciousness. Everything is dependent upon that. As you, through the medium of imagination, assume a state of consciousness, that state begins to clothe itself in form, it solidifies around you as the serpent's skin ossifies around it. But you must be faithful to the state. You must not go from state to state, but, rather, wait patiently in the one invisible state until it takes on form and becomes an objective fact. Patience is necessary, but patience will be easy after your first success in shedding the old and growing the new, for we are able to wait according as we have been rewarded by understanding in the past. Understanding is the secret of patience. What natural joy and spontaneous delight lie in seeing the world, not with, but as Blake says, through the eye. Imagine that you are seeing what you want to see, and remain faithful to your vision. Your imagination will make for itself a corresponding form in which to live. All things are made by imagination's power. Nothing begins except in the imagination of man. From within out is the law of the universe. As within, so without. Man turns outward in his search for truth, but the essential thing is to look within. Truth is